Okay, hello everyone. My name is Nelly Kwasangri, and I'm a mother of 4 children. And considering all the difficulties that I went through, I was able to get some strategies to deal with myself. And myself and Catherine have thought it wise to share with others because it is difficult now with the changes, the technological changes, and what our children know and come up with. So today, we will be talking about parenting the millennials. And it comprises of the impact that our parenting has on our children. Sometimes it's not intentional because parents want to provide the best to their children. But at times, with the lack of awareness on how our parenting impact on the children, we easily parent from the way we were parented by our parents. And our parents did the best they could to bring us up in a decent way. But because they had their limitations, we have taken over those and we are passing them to our children. But now, with the improvement in technology, there's advancement in presentation and so many changes. This is the age of awareness. And with social media, we can use this platform to educate people to know that we need to make changes within ourselves first. So we be in a better position to help our children. Because there is an old saying that children have to be heard and not seen. Or probably the other way around.
Have to be seen and not to be heard.
And not to be heard.
Yes.
Heard, that is not true. Those are the kind of mentalities that we need to change because every human being is special and unique. Everyone needs to be respected. So that's something that in the course of this program, not just today, it will run over. This is just the beginning. We'll be talking about parenting issues. So yeah, thank you, Catherine.
Yes. Thank you. That's a beautiful analogy, Nelly. And I'm excited to have this talk with you today. As times, just like you mentioned, times have changed, there's increase in technology, and it's getting increasingly challenged to parent children, especially given that the way we were parented was very different. I mean, in those days, mommy and daddy made the decision, and as a child, you didn't have much of an influence on that. However, in today's age, there's a lot that has changed. And we find that if we bring what we know best, how we were parented, into this modern day, then everything just hits a deadlock. You are unhappy because the children are not listening to you. The children are unhappy because they feel you're controlling them. And then it just becomes a hot mess. And before you know it, you find yourself slipping into somebody that you never expected yourself to be. So I think it is key for us as parents to be conscious of the modern day technologies and to be conscious of ourselves. Let us look at those limitations that we have and transcend them so that then we can create a better situation for our children. Let us be able to listen to our children. Let us be that go-to person when the children have a challenge or an issue. Let us not make them go to their peers, because most often than not, the information that they're going to get from their peers or from somebody else outside there is totally different from the information you are going to give them as a parent. And let's be honest here, As a parent, you have the best interests of your child at heart. It's just that it goes haywire. Now, what I would like us to address is to address parents so that we can be able to get the grip when you feel that you're being sucked down that rabbit hole, so that we can create a better situation for ourselves. That will translate to us creating a better situation for our children, and they will become better citizens in the future and more responsible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I like to go with examples. Just thinking of a typical situation like in my house, walking into the kitchen, I see a lot of dirty plates in the sink. Before,
A common one, I think, with all parents. I don't think there's any parent who doesn't suffer from that.
I think before, I would get really upset and I will scream and shout and get so angry. But over time, I learned and I developed strategies to deal first with myself, because I realized that it was not respectable of me to be shouting at the children, because I realized that the children don't even really understand why I should get so upset because of a plate in the sink. So
And
that was
for
when
that matter.
I had to take a step back and try to see things in the children's own way of seeing, the children's perspective. Then I realized that actually I need to be conscious of my action first. It's my personal belief. What am I thinking of? And it is just things like that that makes it really important when you know the other person's perspective, because sometimes we take things only from our own, how we feel, how we want things to be. Things must be this way. All of that, we become so controlling, and our children don't even understand what the issue is. So, like Catherine said, it's for us to look deep within ourselves, sort out the things that we are worried about, the things that we don't want our children to do. So, all that confusion, let us start parents from within ourselves before we go to the children.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Let us first parent ourselves before we begin parenting the children. And let us parent ourselves with modern day technology in mind. You know, back then when we grew up, how many TV channels were there? Probably one or two. I remember when I was in primary school, that equates to elementary, TV started at 4 o'clock. And we knew that from 4 o'clock, I think up to 7, it was always cartoons and kids stuff. And then after that, the news would come on, and then the parents would take over the TV in the sitting room, and then it's dinner time, and then it was adult things. However, today, everything is at just one click here, just one single click. And the children are also challenged. There's those things that you will not tell them as an adult, but they can get access to on their phones immediately. All this, creates like a major state of confusion. Then there are some values that different people and different families have that might not be applicable to your situation. And it does not mean that if I'm parenting in a different way, it means that I am right or I am wrong and your parenting style is right or your parenting style is wrong. I mean, we all know that parenting is an on-the-job training thing. We can never, the kids don't come with manuals, and there is no manual that describes exactly that if you do this, this will happen, because there's no one size that fits all. However, you have to work best with the situation that you have. There are a few things that we all know that you as a human being, you deserve, the basic needs, and it translates to even those little children that you have. There are some family values that you can preserve as a family, that you nurture in them as they're growing up. They may challenge them when they grow up, but then give them your perspective and let them be able to make the choice, because whether you like it or not, they're going to make their own choices. So the best you can do is just to be the best positive influence in their lives. Give them the pros and give them the cons and let them choose, because they're going to make the choice anyway. Another thing that we need to, I am thinking, one of the very first things that we as parents need to do is to take an internal audit of ourselves. I may be telling my children that, let me use lying, for instance. I may be telling my children that you shouldn't lie. However, the children can pick out the lies in my talk. They can pick out the lies in my action. And yet, when they do the same, I am standing there with a whip in my hand. It doesn't work that way. The best examples that children take are the silent ones, not the spoken ones. So in as much as you might be saying don't lie, but you're lying yourself, it doesn't make sense. The child will probably live what you have been doing. So taking that internal audit of ourselves as parents, addressing those challenges that we have had as parents. And some of these things were handed down to us from our parents, and not that they were not good parents. They were doing what they knew best then. But as you mentioned, times have changed. So we need to change with that. You mentioned the dishes thing in the sink, and I smiled because I think there is, I don't know which parent has not had challenges with that. But what I have learned personally is to stop letting those things bother me. When you stop letting them bother you internally, you are more calm. And when you are calmer, your aura also radiates calm. And when your aura radiates calm, then the people within your close circles are able to latch onto that sense of calmness. Now, Nell, please address trust with children.
Okay, just before I address the trust, there are a number of things that you talked about that I would just like to put a bit more. But before I go to that, I would just like to read some comments. We've got comments from Lucy, who says, true, you don't listen to them, they will find other people to listen to them, and the advice they get may shock you as a parent. Lucy, that is really, really true. Because if children do not feel safe and secure at home, there's so many places out there that they will go to get that security, and the results that we will get will shock us as parents. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so
and just to add on to that, I think Lucy knows what she's talking about because she's heading an international school in Ghana. So she's dealing with these things on a daily basis. So hearing from her as one being a parent and also having an experience with these children, I think we as parents should take cue from that and listen to the advice or the insight that parents who interact with our children have. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. So I'll talk about, before I come to the trust, I'll talk about communication. I think being a parent and working with children and families, one common thing that I've noticed is the communication. Because when parents say things, it is final. And things are coming, or the ideas are coming from the parents who impose it on the children. To an extent, Catherine has talked about this, but there are certain things that children will feel more valued if they are involved in the decision making. Just for their opinion to be heard, it doesn't mean that it will be accepted, because if, say, they say that they want something, but the parent, knowing a lot more, knows that the direction the child is taking will not produce results the way the child will want, then the parent can have that discussion. So communication is something that is very, very important. And I would say that's something from my experience that parents really struggle with, because like a parent will say, I am whatever, how many years old, and a child, even a year old. What will I be discussing with the child? But just talk to the child. Because they can't respond doesn't mean that they don't understand. So it's to start creating a good communication channel with your child from the earliest age that you can, because children understand. Because they can't express their mind, they can't talk, it doesn't mean that they don't know. They feel the emotions, and they keep them within them. So communication will be one of the things that I will really stress, that us per individuals first, let's think about our communication with ourselves and with others, and particularly with our children.
Can I just say something on communication now?
Mm.
And this does not apply just to children. This applies to communication with anybody across the board. When I feel that I am not being heard, it impacts the relationship between me and that person. But when I feel that I am being heard and I am being respected, even if we are going to agree to disagree, then I am more open to coming up, to warming up to that conversation. So it happens, just like I mentioned, all those basic needs that we want for ourselves, we should want for our children too, and communication is one of them. Okay?
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that. So one other thing you talked about is don't lie.
Yes.
Parents get really, really upset when a child lies. Lying is part of development, because when your child lies, then depending on the age, the child is growing, because they need to develop certain cognitive skills. So to an extent, when your child starts lying, know that they are developing some cognitive skills. But on the other hand, the lie that I believe Catherine was talking about is that overt lying that comes from parents. Just a common example, let's say a parent is owing the landlord, and the parent is at home, the landlord is at the door, and the parent tells the child, tell the landlord they are not at home. And the child goes and says, my parents have said they are not at home. So you are telling the child not to lie, but you are sending them to lie. And that's how they learn how to lie. And they'll do it really, really well. So let's
Yeah.
just be conscious of what we tell our children. Again, going to the communication, what we tell our children, how we tell them, and how we behave. Because sometimes telling lies is not just verbally, your actions speaks a lot. So
Mm.
I just thought I should add that. And then you talked of be calm. When we are parents, when we are stressed, we lash out our frustration
Mm.
on
Mm.
our children. It's not
Right.
intentional. It's because of the state of your mind at that time. You are really, really angry. You are upset. You don't think straight because when you are in that negative emotion, your vision, your thought is very, very narrow. And anything that you see is of no use. And then that's the same negative energy you portray on your children. And at that time, you don't want any means to hurt your children. But because of your state of mind, you actually hurt the children. And with emotions, there are things that is very, very strong. If, say, you are angry and you say some words like, you are stupid, parents, we don't know how far that will go. And not just parents, because even like in school, even like in school or adults, there are certain things. Let me just go to school. Like a teacher will tell a child, you are not smart enough. You are too stupid. You are dull. You can't even do common maths. When we say such negative things to children, we don't know how it impacts on that child. And some of them, the children just get stuck there for so many years because that voice keeps coming up in their head. And then they start avoid to do things that if they have that little support or that push, they will be able to do it. So if we realize that we are angry, we are upset, there's a saying that zip your mouth, don't speak, calm yourself down. There are so many different ways. For instance, you can use the countdown techniques. You can count from 1 up till 10 and 10 backwards till 1. That one is for you to calm down. You can do the breathing exercise. You can just do whatever you can to calm yourself down. Some people talk of the 10 seconds rule. Take the 10-second rule before you speak. Some people will have a sip of water. By the time you go look for the water and you have the sip, you will calm down. All of this is for you to not act when you are really, really angry. Just maintain that peace and calm. It doesn't mean that you are running away from facing that particular situation. The difference here is if you want to sort out a problem once it is still hot and you don't have a settled mind, you are not helping. You are escalating that situation. Whereas if you calm yourself down and you bring up that issue, you will get better results because you will have good conversation around that topic and even come up with a plan on how to deal with that same situation or similar incidents when they come next. And I think with all these points on the communication, don't lie, set good example, and to keep calm, I think if you do those unconsciously, you are bringing elements of trust. You are bringing elements of trust because your child will feel that, oh, my mom, my dad, they really want to listen to me. Oh, I'll tell them I did this in school, I did that. Anything. It could be as little as probably putting their plate in the sink. I said it before. But so it's just little things. Let's praise our children for the little things that they do. So those little elements bring in trust.
Yeah, and just to comment on how we speak to our children. And for instance, you said, and by the way, when we're talking about parenting here, you know, we are talking about parenting here, we are referring to all adults. Because once a child is born, it takes a village to raise a child. That child only belongs to the mother when that child is in the mother's belly. But once that child has been born, the society rallies together to be able to help raise this child. So this is to all adults, not to that person thinking that, oh, because I'm not yet an adult, or maybe the young adult who thinks that, oh, I'm not yet married, I don't have any kids, this talk is, no, this is to anybody who will interact with a child. So when you give, I call them labels, when you label a child that you are stupid, these things become self-fulfilling prophecies for the children. And then the children sometimes they're able to shed them off, but sometimes they're not able to. How many great speakers do we have who have come up and told us how many labels that were placed on them by the adults in their lives? Sometimes it was teachers, but then they were able to transcend those. But then there are those that never went beyond, or they did not grow past those labels, and they let those labels define them. The way we speak could enhance or kill a dream of somebody or of a child. We are talking about children in this instance. So the way we talk to the children also has a lot of impact on the way they are able to perceive life. Okay, so I would like you to address the issue of, as I mentioned, trust, building up the trust with the children. And this perhaps we should nurture from a very tender age. And it doesn't mean that if we slipped off the path and we were sucked down the rabbit hole and we didn't do it then, it does not mean we cannot do it now. We can still start from where we are to get to where we want to get to. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can change the way we interact with our children, regardless of their ages, because we cannot give up now that the children have reached a certain age and we did not start nurturing them from a young age. No, start at any point. But as from now going forward, make it intentional that you want changes, positive changes in your children's lives, because you understand that if you parent your children negatively, though not intentional, it has long-lasting effects on the children. So for communicating with your child, like what I say is, I've done it by the way, so which is why I can say it confidently that it will work. I will just share a bit about myself, because for me, some of my children, I did not start nurturing them the way I would now from when they were born.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point in my life, I was not emotionally stable. So because I wasn't emotionally stable, I found it really difficult, because if one of my children did something wrong and I stood in front of them to talk, I started crying. And I quickly realized that who is the parent and who is the child?
Yeah.
So I had to take a step back, because I couldn't see myself crying in front of my child or any of my children because they've done something wrong. So I was coming from a place of hurt. So I had to address myself first, because I knew that if I presented myself that way to the children first, they'll be confused, because They don't know what's going on, that I would be crying. And then it will help to frustrate them the more. So that's why I said I didn't start off from the very beginning. So
Yeah.
when I realized those, I first of all started working on myself. I started identifying those things that are triggers. What are the things that make me upset? They might be small, they might be big. I started writing. So write down all the things that you feel that are upsetting you. Writing, I had a mood diary because sometimes my mood was, I'll be happy 1 minute, the next minute I'll be really sad. So I had a mood diary to be writing. Like in the morning, what was I doing before I got upset? When I got upset, how did I know I was upset? Where was I feeling the pain? And what did I do after to calm down? So I did that and I reviewed it weekly. And I realized that there was a pattern. So I was like, aha, I've caught you. That is that is the trigger. That is what makes me get upset. So because I was aware of that pattern, it was not a solution yet, but it was more than halfway gone because I knew what that was. So writing down events as they happen will really help you, because if you review it after a week, you might notice that there is a pattern. Let's say in the morning, you might feel certain mornings, you wake up really angry. You might realize that, oh, probably it's because I didn't have enough sleep the night before. So if you don't keep up your writing, you won't be able to identify those. So just keep on writing them down. And then speak with your children. Like for me, what I did was I had like a meeting with my children and I said, I like to be having one-to-one time with you. I'll be spending 30 minutes each per child. And we agreed. So every evening, I made sure I was consistent. I respected the 30 minutes. Sometimes I will sit with a child and we will play games, whatever. Sometimes we will sit in silence because they didn't want to talk, but they knew that I was there. But just knowing that I had that time for them, though we did not speak, it made massive, massive improvement. Like I remember one of my daughters, she did not want to speak, but I continued every day. I sat with her in her bedroom for 30 minutes. And then one day, I would say we had a breakthrough because she sat and then she was like crawling bit by bit, coming closer to me. I sat as if I didn't know, I didn't notice. And then she came and she touched me. And I was like, oh, you touched me. And so just, we might look at them to be really small, but it's massive. So just gradually from there, she came and she gave me a hug. And it was one of the hugs that she didn't want to let go. And then I realized that she really, really wanted it. Because being a teenager, they are like, yeah, we know everything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
just bit by bit, because they know that I am there for them. It's not just a matter of me talking that, oh, I love you, I will do this for you. No, sometimes it's just action. And because I was consistent, it gave them that reassurance that I will be there. And then we talked about the communication. Have that open communication. Spend quality time with the children. There's one thing now with all this technology, like nearly all children have phones. People can be at home, but everyone is doing their own thing and they are never together, but all of them are in the house. In that regard, for me, what I did was when it's mealtime, all gadgets away. The television is off. We sit together and have a meal together. It's not possible to have breakfast, lunch, and supper together, but at least one meal a day, we have it together. So just some things might seem really, really small, but doing them together as a family makes a massive difference. And then praising the children, I said it before, for little things that they do. It is common for parents to see mostly the wrong things that the children have done.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they do like 5 wrong things and they do one right thing, praise them for that. And you'll be surprised that over time, they will change. They'll want to do more things, so they get praises. But on the other hand, if they notice that they are being, say, called names or smacked or whatever because they've done something wrong, they'll keep on doing it because negative attention is better than no attention at all.
Mm-hmm.
That one is if they still decide to be getting the attention at home without going outside. But if that continues, they will go outside to look for that safe, secure environment, which is very, very dangerous. Thank you.
Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah. Oh, I would love for us as adults to be that safe space for the children. And sometimes they don't have to do everything according to your way. You know, this perfectionism kills a lot of relationships. I mean, me growing up, I knew that when I woke up, I would do my set of duties, home, part of cleaning the house and what have you before I went off to school. It was a given. There was no argument about it. There was no question about it. You woke up, you did it before you went to school. And my mom made it clear that you use a spoon, you wash it. You don't leave anything in the sink at all. So it's just the way I grew up. Now, parenting brings a lot of challenges because the kids get to a certain stage whereby they want to cook, but they don't want to clean up. And if you let it bother you, it takes you down the rabbit hole of where you'd not like to go to with your children. So sometimes, and there is no one size that fits all. I mean, what works for you will not necessarily work for me. It may, but it may not. So whatever strategies that we are saying may not work for everybody, but look at your situation and look at what needs to be done. Similarly, when we say that you parents, as adults, we need to take self-audits and address those first. Then we are better able to support the loved ones in our lives. Take stock of what you're doing, because sometimes there are things that you do and you don't like them. Let's be honest. Get to that space and begin thinking, I did this and I didn't like it. How can I change it? And honestly, when you change the situation in yourself, it changes the situations in those around you. Another thing that parents usually do, or the adults usually do, is to take upon themselves the responsibility of the family problems. And what I mean is, if your child decides they want to go and do, say, a different, they want to pursue a different line of study, but you in your mind, you're saying my child must be either a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever professions that you have in your mind, but the child doesn't want to do that. I mean, there's several people who have gone and done certain professions, and then they have gone on to do something that is totally different. Give the child the space to be able to make that decision. And you as a parent, be okay with it. Because when you take on, what I mean by taking on the responsibility of everybody's burdens or problems or challenges in the family, I mean that you want to be able to have an input on everything. Whereas in real life, you have your own life to live. You have so many things to be able to that you need to handle to be able to be an effective role model for your child. So if you're hovering on everything that, no, you can't do this, no, do that, you can guide, but you cannot force. It's just that I wanted to mention. Okay, so what else do you have for us, Ned? Tucked up your sleeve.
Yeah.
For today. I know this we cannot finish parenting in one day.
Not
We'll
at
go
all.
step by step. But what you have told me today is to do a self-audit of myself as a human being. Let me take stock and address all those challenges. And you have told me that I need to journal.
Yeah.
Keep a mood diary if my mood is getting out of hand. What was I feeling before I got there?
What were you
What
thinking?
else do you have for us?
Sorry, just to add that, what were you thinking? Because,
what was I thinking? Okay, thinking.
Yeah, because our thoughts influences our feeling and then our behavior. So watch out what you are thinking about.
Okay, all right. So today's talk is not actually geared towards the children. This is geared towards the adults. It is more for the adults to be able to be better human beings before they can expect their loved ones to be better as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Because we have said it before, but in a slightly different way. We as adults are hurting in one way or the other. And we are transferring our hurt onto our children unconsciously. We are not aware that we are doing that. So like you've talked about self-audit. If you self-audit, you will be able to pick out on those things that you need to work on your personal self, so you don't transfer it to your children. Because if not, they will take up on it. So it's for you to, they say, heal yourself so you are in a better position. It's like, I like talking, I know it's common, about the oxygen mask, that you need to put on your oxygen mask before you even put it on your child. So that is for you to be in a better position yourself. And just one thing that I want to add is about parents, and two things actually, about being friendly. Here, I like to differentiate between being friendly with your children and not being their friends, because these are two different things. You parent your children in a friendly way, but it doesn't mean that you are their friends. And the difference here is some parents consider their children to be their friends, and they share adult information with their children, thinking that they are helping the children. But in actual fact, they are damaging the children, because the children are not mentally able to process so much adult information. Whereas if you target, say, particular information to a child in a child appropriate manner, that will be better. So that's why I just thought I should differentiate between being friendly and being friends with your children.
Yeah, you know, some parents take parenting as a popularity contest. parenting is not about being about a popularity contest. Because look at the kids when they're popular with one another. It's usually, most often than not, the kids that want to do the things that are not right, and that's why they're popular. You know, they're doing this and that. You can't do that as a parent. Your job as a parent is to nurture and to guide and to provide. So when you get down to the level of being a friend, sometimes you confuse those roles. So you should define your roles completely and be aware that parenting is not a popularity contest. And also, this will mostly happen in situations whereby the parents are probably not together, and one person maybe does not spend as much time with the child as possible, but they want to make up in different ways. That is where this contest usually comes in. And then you'll find that the other parent wants to bribe their way, so to speak, but when you have, all I'm trying to say is that let us have the best interests of our children at heart. Do not, if you're in a co-parenting situation, do not get at the other parent while using your children as collateral. Because at the end of the day, that other parent is an adult and they can handle themselves, but the children, irrespective of their age, sometimes are not able to overcome this. Yeah.
Okay. I think, thank you so much, Catherine, and thanks for all the viewers. Catherine, I just want to add that, I mean, it's parenting is massive, and today is our first talk, so we'll be having it every 2 weeks, and then we'll go into many different topics. And Catherine and myself, we had really planned this out, and we will be happy for our viewers to put in their comments, and if anyone has a particular topic on parenting that they want us to discuss about, please put that in the comments and we will consider that for subsequent edition.
Yes. Okay. So thank you very much, Nell. I would like to thank all our viewers too. We are at 55 minutes, and I believe we should keep it to under an hour so that people can be able to pay attention and engage with us. Otherwise, if we go beyond that, then we lose the concentration span. So I thank everybody who have joined us today, and I thank you for all your comments. And thank you, Nell, for the beautiful information that you have given to us. And we shall see you again in the next 2 weeks. So have a good day, evening, morning, night, wherever you are.
Thank you so much, everyone, and have a blessed weekend. See you in 2 weeks. And don't forget to put your questions or topics you want us to talk about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye now.
Bye. Bye.